Captain's log 61209.5. It's been weeks since leaving Tars Lamora for good. That dream of finding a place where we can be accepted is becoming real.
So it's back. Yes. Can you believe that Star Trek Prodigy, the last episode, was in February? Wow, February, and we're nearly in November. We're at the end of October. Where's that time gone? So I suppose I could say that, you know, it has been a long road getting from there to here. It's been a long time, but the time is finally here for Star Trek Prodigy to be back. So let's talk about this latest episode, episode 11 of season 1, Asylum.
The real me is hunting us. Good luck with that.
So welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you've all been well. Hope you've all had a good summer if you haven't been about watching. Yeah, so I'm back with my review for Star Trek Prodigy. Now I do review all of the Star Trek series with the exception of Lower Decks. Not that I don't like Lower Decks. I love Lower Decks. I just struggle with comedy. Yeah, it's all lost in translation to me when I talk about it, so it just feels rubbish. But yeah, I am enjoying Star Trek Lower Decks. So here we are, episode 11 of Star Trek Prodigy, episode entitled Asylum. And we catch up with our crew of characters in a scene somewhat reminiscent to the opening of Star Trek Into Darkness. It's got its similarities. It's water set. The crew are actually chasing off these hunters that are chasing this whale, this species of whale that's on this planet that's close to extinction. The hunters, they're just doing what they do, but they don't realise that they rely on this whale, on this species, as part of its ecosystem, and to wipe it out would be somewhat catastrophic for themselves. So the crew are in this little underwater submersible and they lead the whale away and they beam it on board the ship. The crew get the whale on board ship and they send it to safety, and along they go. So we're open up on a little action set piece, a sort of side quest that they've been on, and this is the outcome of it. This is the end of it. So a nice way to reintroduce all of these characters. We come to learn that Gwen is still suffering because of she saw the reflection of the true form of Zero in a mirror or a window, whatever it was, and this led to her losing her memories about her father and the true plan and all this sort of a thing. So she's struggling with that, and Zero's trying to help her through it because he feels somewhat guilty. The crew of the ship are all dressed up in Starfleet uniforms, and they want to take the ship back to Starfleet, but they want to join Starfleet. They want to sort of prove themselves en route to Starfleet, that even though we've sort of stolen this ship, even though they didn't, the ship was lost originally and they've just taken it, if you see what I'm saying. But even though they've got this ship and they shouldn't have it, that they've been doing good with it along the way. And they head to this outpost, this relay station, essentially a giant radio antenna, and they go on board, and there's one Starfleet officer on board, or low-ranking Starfleet officer on board, who's excited to see them. He tells them that, you know, that he's there alone, and you know, this is the greatest place to be working, but he's kidding himself. And they tell him that, look, we shouldn't really have this ship, but we're trying to get to Starfleet. We want to join Starfleet. So he uses the database to sort of sign them all in, so to speak, and it registers their species. So we find out a little bit more about them like that. But when it gets to Dal, you know, he's like, well, don't worry, look, you ain't going to find my species, but when he gets scanned, it comes up, report to Starfleet headquarters, report to Starfleet, like a red banner. So Starfleet does know his species, and this excites him. But why is there this sort of sudden, oh, we've got to get to Starfleet? Why Starfleet wants me, or wants a person of my species to come to their, you know, headquarters? What's the big deal kind of thing? What's the intrigue there? What's the mysteries revolving around that? As they're on board, this space station goes somewhat haywire. Zero plugs Gwen into like the medical bay system, and at that point the whole ship starts going haywire and starts trying to destroy itself. Not the ship, not the the protostar. We're talking about the actual space station that they're on, and space stations getting destroyed amongst them. Gwen nearly dies. She's like drowning, but she manages to get out of this pod that's filling with water and all this sort of stuff going on. And they can't get back to their ship. The Starfleet officer legs it in a escape pod, and the crew themselves have to don spacesuits, do a spacewalk on the thing as it's destroying, and jump to their ship. Only they miss it, but hologram Janeway manages to catch them in a whatchamacallit, my mind's awful today, in a tractor beam. Yes, wow. And gets them to safety. While Gwen was in the tube, she had more dreams of her father, more visions, shall we say, and at the end she does explain that she now has all her full memories back. Now we do get some nice callbacks in this, some nice flashbacks. We find out, we don't find out, we see Chakotay when he's taken the protostar, when he's given it as its captain, and he has a moment with Vice Admiral Janeway, and then we do have a scene where normal day Janeway, Vice Admiral Janeway, is looking for the protostar, and they've come to the place where all hell broke loose at the end of the last episode, where the protostar was being hidden, and they come across the Diviner. The Diviner's sort of in stasis there, but he's still alive, so obviously they're going to take him, and the episode ends there. So, you know, this episode here has a lot of fantastic animation in it, a lot of fantastic colour. It's very bright, it's vibrant, it looks fantastic. The characters have all sort of settled in, or the actors have settled into their roles in these characters now. We're halfway through the season. It's tightly scripted, you know, the length of it, the 22 minutes, it runs very fast, it goes very quickly. Obviously, like, this is Star Trek for children, the lower end or the younger sort of watchers of the show, so it does have that childish kind of appeal in the characters. But again, if you get past that, it's a really enjoyable show. Yeah, it's great. It's got enough intrigue in it, you know, to have characters like Janeway back, obviously voiced by Kate Mulgrew, and Chakotay back again with the original actor. All I forget his name now, but all fantastic stuff. A really good series, really enjoyable, well worth watching. Don't dismiss Star Trek when it's in animation like this. It has something to offer if you are a Star Trek fan. Even this show here, being that it's aimed at the younger audience, it's still very, very good, with enough intrigue and excitement to keep you on the edge of your seat. This is AJ. Let me know your thoughts on this episode down below. Are you glad to have this show back for its next 10 episodes? I believe it's 10 episodes anyway. Or do you not watch it? Did you give up on it? Are you not going back to it? Let me know. And I will be back next week with my review for next week's episode as well. And I shall see you then. Take care all. And
Suppose they just handed you kiddos a free starship.
We actually stole it.
Whomever stole the protostar must be stopped.